Okay. Welcome to the May 7th meeting of the Public Works Department of the Town of Niskayuna Town Board. The first item of business is to review the minutes. Do I have any corrections, additions, edits? Hearing none, I'm going to call for I will make the motion to accept. Do I have a second?
I will second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Second item on the agenda is administration and engineering. Matt?
Okay, so just an update on our COVID-19 response. We're still working at split shifts right now on our crews, on and off, to basically an A and a B crew in each location. I'd like to try to start bringing more guys back, and I'd like some guidance as far as what's essential and what's not essential. I think there's ways that we could bring people back and still manage to maintain social distancing. There's a lot of work that we can't get to with the reduced staff. We want to start flushing hydrants, and that's one of the things that we're reluctant to do, because I don't want to have people dedicated to that activity and then have an emergency take place somewhere else in town. So I think maybe tomorrow in the safety committee meeting that we're having, I hope this comes up so we can discuss essential versus non-essential, and what our ability is to bring people back in so that we can increase our productivity and still maintain separation, even if it requires separate areas for the people to work. So we have two physical crews working, but they never see each other during the day unless there is an emergency. So they would never interact, so that if we had a case where there was an exposure, only one group may be exposed and the other one would not be. So being more creative instead of just keeping everybody out, to try to be more productive.
And Matt, that's a great point. Tomorrow's safety committee meeting, we will be discussing all of these items as part of our reopening plan. I talked to Councilman McPartlin, who chairs safety committee, yesterday, and he and I both agreed that safety committee is going to author a concrete reopening plan that we'll be able to disseminate to all of the department heads, and it'll classify department by department, and even down to, person by person, essential versus non-essential. And we'll give you the reopening plan, what work you should be concentrating on. Of course, this is going to be in concert, with your opinion, what workload you have, ranking in terms of importance, what you want to accomplish first, what needs to be accomplished first. But so we're going to have that meeting Friday, tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. And then by next week, Wednesday, we hope to circulate the draft plan. And then by next week, Friday, after we've received comments back and we make all the edits, we'll have that finalized plan sent out to everybody.
So Matt, you should think about being able to give comments for that, because
Yes.
that committee isn't going to be able to tell you how best to manage your staff. So you should be prepared for that for tomorrow.
Okay.
So Matt,
Moving forward.
Paul here. So I know one of the issues that's been brought up is transporting people to work sites because of limited vehicles. And we can discuss this tomorrow, obviously, but one thing that we can do that I don't see any problem with is people can use their personal vehicles and we can reimburse for mileage. I don't think it'll amount to much. And if we get actual work out of people that needs to be done, it's a way to get people to a work site.
Okay.
So, and for the meeting tomorrow, are we going to have a list of who's essential, who's working from home? Because there seems to be somewhat of a disconnect between working and working from home. So are we going to have all of that, Paul? Paul Sebesta?
Sorry. Sorry, I was muted. The supervisor has been the one that has made the designation of essential and non-essential. I asked the town attorney whose call that was, and I believe he told me it was the supervisors. What I read from, the documentation I receive is that water and sewer is essential and probably could have been working all along, especially the water and plant water treatment and wastewater treatment. So I think that question needs to be resolved first. Whose decision is it? And go from there. But it's not my decision. If it is, I can make it, but I don't think it is.
Okay. So supervisor, are we going to have a list?
Yep,
Because I
that's
agree with
going to
Paul.
be, yep. So the result of tomorrow's meeting is going to be that concrete list, department by department. Paul is correct. Water and sewer operations are considered essential. But that being said, within those departments, if there are safety measures that can be implemented, which is what was done with the on-off scheduling, just for the utmost safety of our staff, those things still can be implemented while being essential. So that's what was done there. But yes, those designations will be the result of the safety committee and then part of that reopening plan.
Okay, so
Okay.
then is that also going to be a finance committee issue? Because I raised that yesterday, Yasmin.
We can bring it to finance. Still, we'll have
Well,
the plan.
we have to have the town board. Not everybody's going to attend tomorrow, right?
Correct.
Right. So John he has to have some input in this, so.
Yep, and that safety plan is going to be circulated townwide. So it's not necessarily just going to be two department heads. Town board members are going to be on that safety plan review. So next Wednesday, that document's going to be circulated townwide, including town board members. So, everyone should have input in it, and we welcome that.
Okay, great. Matt B.
So we were, for the last 6 months, I think it was, we have had an opening in our engineering office. We attempted to hire a civil tech from local colleges, and we cannot find a candidate that wants to come work for us, or I think they just want to continue on with, a lot of them just want to keep going and get further degrees. So we made the decision to start looking for junior engineers, which was what the original position was. We were just we were hoping we could pull somebody in off of with more experience, with a lesser title, but more experience. But it didn't pan out. So I think we're going to end up hiring, if we can find somebody, a junior engineer. It may not have as much experience, but a higher degree from a college and an EIT license with the state. So we've got a couple applicants already. We only started advertising about a week and a half ago for the different title. If we get a good applicant, we'll do a Zoom meeting for interviews, and we'll keep the committee and the board up to date on the progress with that. It's on, I think, as a tentative resolution. If we happen to find somebody that was available now and met our needs, we would move forward. If not, we'll just push it to the next month. Depends on the applicants.
Okay.
But right now, we had a little bit of a lull over the winter because construction slows down and because of the shutdown. However, Josh has been doing 2 jobs basically. And as construction picks back up, I'm going to need him to do more water and sewer related work. And we need someone to be more available to work with the building department, drainage and grading issues and things like that.
Okay.
Number 3, attorney items.
Yes, the Myers petition is still on a tentative hold. I'm going to move forward with that hopefully in the next 2 cycles. The process there is we've added those 2 homes. I've now got to provide a new recalculated figure to all the people on Whitmire to determine whether they still have an interest. Tom Kobricki has retained an attorney, the Couch firm in Albany. I've talked to Mark Couch, I think Monday or Tuesday. Matt was good enough to find, the issue with Kobricki has been that for that emergency repair he did on Tottenham Drive, he provided the town with a flat fee without a breakdown. We've been asking him for a breakdown now for months. He's insistent that he doesn't need to provide that. And Matt found a 2012 invoice that we got from Kobricki, and I think it was for the same area on Tottenham, where
Yes.
he broke down exactly what we are asking for here. It's a 2-page breakdown. It shows the hours worked, each different worker, how many hours, different pieces of equipment, how many hours they use that, materials. And so I provided that to his attorney and said, this is all we need. If it's reasonable, we'll pay it. And his attorney is going to discuss that with Mr. Kobricki.
We also received a FOIL request from that attorney.
Yes, he sent that to me, and I forwarded that to Michelle. That's essentially asking to see if there were any emails or any other type of things. The claim is that Matt made a handshake agreement with Mr. Kobricki out in the field to pay him this set sum. Matt is clear that didn't happen. That's never been our practice. Matt wouldn't have the authority to do that even if he did, but he didn't do that. So he's expecting an answer from the FOIL, and we're timely doing that. But more importantly, I think the lawyer understands the issues here, Attorney Couch, and he's going to try to get Mr. Kobricki to provide the required itemized invoice.
What is he foiling?
He just wanted to know whether there were any, he's foiling Matt's emails for the date of the break to determine whether or not there's any confirmation of their agreement, or whether Matt had any contact with any other contractors by email or any other communication to see if there were other estimates given.
Okay. The city water bill, Paul?
I'm in discussions with this. The city is not using their own attorney. They've assigned this to an outside law firm. There's a little bit of a transition because the lawyer that was with that outside law firm has left that firm and he's now with a new firm. But he took this file with him. But I did talk to him, and we're in discussions about this. So we're at a point where eventually we're going to have some sort of a phone meeting or a phone conference, and we're getting to that point. He's going back to the city to talk to them about our issues, and then he and I are going to have another discussion, and we will probably have to have some sort of a meeting.
Okay.
Pierce Road. There's 5 homes on Pierce Road that we want to include in this new extension. As we've always known, we have to have over 50% of the assessed value to say yes to the extension for the extension to be approved. There's of the 5 homes, we have 1 that's a yes. We have 1 that's an outside user. So that's an automatic inclusion in the district or the extension. We have 2 that are no's, and we have the 5th one that's on the fence. I spoke to, actually it was yesterday, I spoke to that homeowner, and she wants to see the numbers, and that's going to help her decide whether or not she is going to, she and her husband are going to want to join in the petition to have a new sewer. Her system is not to the point where it's failing, but it needs to be replaced.
Sure.
So she's leaning towards approving it, but without her, it's a no-go. With her, it will go forward. Matt's office is provided me with updated figures. I did this once before. It was a bigger extension that we tried on Pierce Road, so the paperwork's all ready. I just have to provide different numbers. We know because the homes are charged for the cost of the extension according to their frontage. So Matt's office is going to provide that to me. I'm going to provide new figures, in particular to that homeowner, and hopefully she'll want to go forward. Then we can, once that's done, then I'll prepare the petition and have it signed by the 3 yeses, the 2 yeses, and the outside user, and then we'll have that will give us, I think, about 63% of the assessed value, and then we'll be able to move forward with that.
Okay,
Oh.
sounds good. Do you have anything else, Paul Briggs?
No.
Okay. Matt, the wastewater treatment plant.
Okay, so just an update. The gravity thickener that was damaged over the winter due to ice has been repaired at no cost to the town. The supplier and the contractor working on it paid for the repair. It was an error on their part. Because that's back in operation, we're able to better handle our solids. The plant's running more efficiently. An update on the pilot study. It was submitted to DEC back on the 12th of March. And Jamie Malcolm reached out to us after some time asking for some more information, which we provided last week. And we did not get a response. So Barton LaJudas is working on trying to set up a Zoom meeting with DEC to try to see what is left, what we need, what they want from us, so that they can continue the review. We haven't heard anything back. When I asked, the only thing I did ask Jamie. I sent him an email and said, you know, what's going on, and he said it's been passed along. It's in review. It was a very simple response, so I don't have any real detail on how long or if they have any other issues, which there shouldn't be because it's pretty straightforward. We've provided everything, all the data that was collected during the pilot study. We've forwarded to them the information that was in the original design report for the plant that states our design and how the system would function. So we're just waiting for them at this point. So hopefully a Zoom meeting would help push them along, or at least let us know if there's anything that we can do to help speed them up. C, contracts for the acceptance of the high strength waste. I know there's been some discussion with ESG. They have haulers and suppliers waiting. So it's just a matter of getting the pilot finalized with the state and then moving forward with the different haulers. We'll know more. We'll have more detail on the individual contracts as soon as we have the pilot response from DEC, so that we can finalize the contracts. D, just a general update on the overall project as well. So all the major construction's done. The only thing remaining at the plant that needs to be done is just starting up of a couple pieces of equipment. One is coordinating the startup of the biogas generator with National Grid, and some of the modifications to our sludge dryer that were made by ESG during the construction project to allow it to run on biogas. That just needs to be fine-tuned, but the gas supply needs to be there in order to do the adjustments that are necessary. So we're waiting for the gas to build, and having the high-strength waste would help to produce even more gas, so that we could move closer towards being a net zero plant and seeing the environmental and financial benefits of the project. 5, the water treatment plant.
Yeah.
So we have one retirement that Dan Galley was mentioned last month at the board meeting.
Yeah.
He has retired. We currently are looking for a replacement water plant operator. We haven't had any applicants yet. We're waiting. There is no current list with the civil service. There was a test scheduled, but it's been delayed because of the pause from New York State. So hopefully after that test is administered, or if we get someone who does apply, we'll be able to fill that position. Right now we have 3 operators. So with the staggered shifts right now, we have 2 people working one day, and the chief operator is working by himself on the odd day.
Okay.
So I mentioned Dan Galley before. He is interested, as Alan Schwartz was, the other former operator, of working weekends for us as an independent contractor, which helps to, because with only a limited supply of operators right now, helps to spread out the on-call time for the guys that are the full-time employees. So I believe we did a pretty simple contract last time for Alan. So Paul, are you still there? Sebastian?
Yes, I'm here.
Paul Sebesta.
Sylvester? Well, Alexis had worked on the contract too, so if there's no objection, I'd like to move to have him added as well, have a separate contract for him to do the work too. It would just help to spread out, especially while we're short-staffed, so you don't have people having to work back-to-back weekends, sometimes 3 weekends in a row.
So are we just going to use the same independent contractor agreement that we used back, I think it was in January?
Yes.
Yeah, it would be a different name.
Oh, yeah. And because I remember there was a lot of back and forth. Did we settle on that? We ended up not requiring him to have insurance. Can we use the same contract and go forward with that same rationale for this independent contractor?
He's doing the same exact work.
Oh, so yeah, Paul Sebesta can confirm, because I know that there was, like I said, there was an email back and forth traffic just on that decision. So just want to make, oh, sorry, that's Taylor. Okay, I'll plan on using the same contract unless I otherwise change the name.
Thank you.
Okay. Item C, one of the high lift pumps, the pumps that pump the water from the plant to the distribution system, is in need of replacement. It was going to be replaced as part of the overhaul for the plant, but that project's still under design. So this needs to be done now. So we have bonded money for upgrades and repair or replacement at the water plant. So I'd like to do this part now, and then next year, when we go out to bid for the overhaul of the plant, this would just be something we wouldn't have to do. So the cost is $34,995, and it's actually less than it was a month ago. And I think that's one of the benefits of one of the unfortunate side effects of, or one of the good side effects of the shutdown. Contractors are getting hungry, so it actually helped with the cost. So that would be, I'm sorry?
That's a good point.
Yes. I think that actually that same thing, I think occurred on the water main repair on
Exactly.
Mohawk Road.
Elizabeth
Yeah,
Road.
that project ended up coming in under budget.
That's great.
So item 6, utility billing. The bills were mailed on the 4th, and they're due on the 15th. So Chris is fielding calls from remotely. All the phones are being forwarded to her, and I haven't heard of any issues yet with the remote calling. 7, water and sewer maintenance. I mentioned earlier the hydrant flushing. We haven't done it. we normally would have been well underway at this point. City of Schenectady has started. Colony has started. I'd like to try to start doing our flushing. And I think depending on tomorrow's meeting, the safety meeting, we may want to at least start our planning so that when we start opening up again, we can just jump ahead and just start doing that work. So one thing just to keep in mind, we normally flush during the day when people are at work. So with people at home right now, we may get some additional calls for dirty water complaints. It's just going to be just something we'll have to just explain to the people, just run their water till it's clear, wait for the truck in front of their house.
So Matt, I think you should put together your plan. As I said before, there's nobody on the safety committee who's going to be able to tell you the right time to go flush a hydrant. Your employees are essential. So I'm unclear as to why everybody really hasn't been working up to as best they can anyway. Now, my question about flushing is it a 3-man job or what?
Flushing is a 1-man job.
If flushing is a 1-man job, your employees are essential. And then anybody doing contracting work or any contract, we're talking about letting out all these contracts for the water main and this and that. 1-man jobs can go be done.
The only thing that I would like to have more people on working while we flush is because in the event that something happens as a result of the flushing or something happens while they're flushing,
Sure.
And you need to pull people away. Once you start flushing, you're moving that dirty water through the system.
Mm-hmm.
So you go hydrant to hydrant, and you basically push it out from one point to the end.
Right.
If you stop in the middle, because you have to pull that person off to go address another issue somewhere else within the system or in sewers or whatever, that causes dirty water and it sort of undercuts the whole purpose of doing that flushing. Right. So I would like to be able to do that, and it could be done safely because we usually send 2 guys out when we're flushing, 1 guy in one zone, another guy in another zone, and they don't see anybody unless there's an issue.
Okay. And to the extent that you're able to do this, I know that Highway's been implementing just driving separately to the location so that you can minimize the 2 people being in a cab close to one another. That's just like one suggestion or potential way to make sure people feel safe and implement social distancing.
So what we currently are doing is we are currently using separate vehicles. In the event that someone rides along with someone else, they are wearing masks. But the majority of the workers are driving separate vehicles. We have large pieces of equipment, which they'll have a pickup truck trail behind so that you're separated. But the social distancing is not as much of an issue during transportation, as more so when they're working, if they were fixing a manhole, jackhammering a manhole. It's tough work to do with a mask, especially when it gets warmer out. So we have to just think of ways to mitigate that and maybe not have as high of expectations of how much work is going to be done. It may take a little bit longer to do the work, but it still can. I think it's possible to do safely. So, but I will come up with a plan
to get them started, because there's a number of pieces to it. There's the work, there's the plan of where they're going to go, and then there's communicating it to residents who should be told, don't start a load of whites in your laundry on X day. So I think that you should be prepared to put your plan together to get ready to roll on that.
Okay.
That is not something that is waiting for May 15th. And this area really isn't, we don't even know if it's May 15th for this area yet. So, but you should be able to put that plan together because they are essential. So.
Okay. Item B, I'm finalizing the bid specs for the valve maintenance trailer that we wanted to purchase. It's going to be in the newspaper on Friday, with the bid opening on the 21st, and it will be ready for the next meeting. I was trying to do it on a piggyback contract, but the time frame didn't work out, and the other town that had it, exceeded their 1-year threshold. C, the portable sewer pump. I was going to go out to the bid with that for that, but and Paul Sebesta, I think, is still on the call too. We were told originally that GSA contracts were not eligible. Town was not eligible to purchase off of a GSA contract, but I did receive information from the vendor that Colony and Glennis Falls just recently did the same thing. They purchased off of the GSA contract. So I forwarded to Paul Sebesta and Paul Briggs last night the document that was sent to me. I'll get their opinion on whether or not we can do that, take advantage of the GSA pricing on that. So I don't think I have to go to bid for that, but it would be hopefully we be able to use the GSA and award it at the meeting coming up. Both of those two, both B and C, were bonded for, so the money is available.
Great.
Matt,
Yes.
Matt, I did review that document, and it did suggest, if you weren't one of the agencies or organizations on the Appendix A, that the proper process was to contact GSA and get a determination, which maybe those other municipalities did. I don't know what they did. I never, I can always find people that do things wrong, but I mean, hopefully they did it right.
Okay.
But that seems to be, I read it on my phone, but it seems to be there is a process to determine your eligibility, and hopefully we're eligible, obviously.
Okay. Yeah, because Colony Pure Waters, which is their sewer department, they bought one last year. So usually Colony does things right, so they're big enough.
Well, the vendors are very willing to let you do it wrong. I can guarantee that.
Okay.
That's all I do know.
Thank you.
Yep.
Item D. So I was called out to the River Road Rosendale Circle project by the contractor doing the work. And they explained to me that they were going to be moving our fire hydrant that was there 20 feet or so off the road. And their method of construction was not safe. They wanted to just turn off a valve and then extend the hydrant. Last time someone tried to do that with that fire hydrant, the town lost 2 million gallons of water because our water tank, and we emptied our water tank basically. So there's too much pressure there. The infrastructure is not set up to be able to do that. So they need to turn the water off. And while they're doing that work, they're going to be exposing our 20-inch water main that's there. And their plan is also to run edge of the traffic over that older pipe. So I've been working with county engineering and their engineer, their consultant, and the contractor, and they're working up a price so that we can have their contractor replace that section of main underneath the circle and take advantage of that to be able to do that work safely that they need to do. It's just their engineer didn't think all the way forward on how things would be constructed, which I've seen that before. It's not uncommon. When you get out in the field, they realize that something looks great on paper, but it's not constructible. So I talked to Paul Briggs about it because of the time frame on this. They're in the middle of construction right now. We would need to go ahead and do this on an emergency because it is an emergency, because the timing is just not going to work out. So I'm waiting for a final price from them. But one thing that we can do is I mentioned the Mohawk Road water main project came in less than we expected. So we have money left over for bonded money for water main work that we could use for that.
Is that okay, Paul Sebesta?
Matt, what is the work being done? It's moving the hydrant?
It's replacing 27 feet of 20-inch water main.
Yeah, main's main. It's worded such that we can replace main. It's very generic throughout the town, and appendices, valves. items.
It ends up that adding value to everyone's projects too, because they're putting a circle over the top of an old water main. At least now we won't be digging their water main up in the future, their new circle up in the future if we have an issue.
Yeah, it's not a problem.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, Matt.
Item D or E, Mike Palesci has been working with the Water and Sewer Department for the last year. His probation is ending. We're happy with him. I'd like to move it to permanently appoint him as a maintenance worker.
Okay.
So what I've done on here, like I've done in the past, I've taken all the separate items and then just lumped them all together in a finance and board action, so that when Alexis is making up the resolutions, it's pretty straightforward and she doesn't have to hunt around
Yeah,
all over.
it's a much better format, Matt. It's a much
So
better.
some of this will be repeated, but I'll go through it. One thing though, the
Matt, before
franchise
we get
agreement.
started, you've been asked a question on the live stream, but I don't know from whom, about the buy board buying platform.
Oh yeah, that was just a question for me, Matt. I just wanted to know whether or not you wanted to move forward with joining that buying organization, or if that's something that we're gonna, hold off on.
I would like to wait on that. I know we tried to do something like this once before, and Sebesta found it very difficult to work with. So why don't we put that on as an agenda for item for next month, and we can have a larger discussion about it. How's that?
I even have more to add to that too. It was an additional 2% additional cost for things through that board. And so that's why I'm writing the bid specs for that trailer right now. So we won't need it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Alexis.
So A is just an update on the franchise agreement with Spectrum. I know we can't really talk about it here because of I think there's conflict of interest, but is that progressing at all, Paul? Sebesta?
It's a item that I'm working on with Alexis. So
Okay.
Alexis has been in communication on a number of issues as it relates to Spectrum. So
Still no update on that. Yeah, no, they're not, in terms of us moving forward with negotiating. I haven't heard from them on that, and we've been in communication on some other issues though.
Okay. B, attached to the packet, I just had 2 cut sheets for the 2 new features that we've talked about over the last few months for the splash pad. And this is additional money. This is money we had left over from the original project. And when the project was built, we left additional places for expansion. So it's just a matter of removing a cap and bolting these down. So I'd like to just move forward and finish up that project and just purchase those 2 additional features. It would only need finance committee approval because of the cost.
Okay. So have you talked to them? How long would it take to get the equipment? It took a long time last time, and it is May.
We'd have them for this season. I wasn't sure what our plan was for the pad itself anyway, with social distancing and everything. I haven't heard.
Well, we don't know that, but we have to proceed with all of these things like we are going to have a summer. So.
Yep. No, as soon as we have finance approval for it, we will place the order and move forward.
Great. Thanks.
I can even give them a heads up now that it's coming, and it's tentative until the finance committee approves it, but just so that they know it's what to expect.
Terrific.
C is a resolution authorizing supervisor to sign an MOA regarding pay for the TSEA members, having to do with if a guy works outside of his class to benefit the town, we're not reducing his pay if it's at a different pay scale. I know there was some discussion with the union rep, but I haven't heard any update. Is there anything to add on that, Paul or Alexis?
No.
Are they not responding?
No, Alexis is dealing with Angelique on that. So, no, there's discussions going on.
Will it be soon enough to leave it on the agenda, or should I not plan for it for the agenda?
I would leave it on the agenda.
Okay. D is just carried over from up top. It's the resolution for the sewer pump. E, same thing. From up top, it's a valve maintenance machine. F is a resolution to approve the 2020 corporate utility. Chris will have that information together. It's just the larger accounts, GE, Capel. It's usually not all that exciting, but I'll leave it on there. She'll have it ready for the meeting. G is carried over from up top. It's for the high lift pump at the treatment plant. H is what I mentioned up top as well for the the water main at River and Rosendale. I is Paleshi. J is what we mentioned earlier about the contractor at the water plant. And K and L are both tentative. It's if we have applicants that end up applying for either the junior engineer or the water plant operator titles. Just the other departments, I mentioned the splash pad earlier about the 2 additional features, and then an update for the recycling center, transfer station, landfill. Contract was awarded for the new fuel pumps. Josh and I are meeting with the contractor, I believe tomorrow on site, just to go over some of the details. He's ordered the tanks already. That should be done this summer, or if not early fall. In the meantime, we relocated, the water and sewer staff relocated the diesel tank that's inside the old water and sewer garage outside of the garage and covered it and temporarily wired it to the existing fuel tank that's outside. So that's no longer any issue as far as removal of the building. We can still get diesel fuel and it's on site, so it doesn't affect anything as far as our permitting. We haven't moved the tank off of the site. I talked to Ray. His guys are going to build a pad for the new fuel tank at the highway garage, and water and sewer staff will build the new pad for the tank at the River Road Fire Station.
I didn't do it.
The former water and sewer.
Guys, everybody put their phones on mute. Okay, Matt.
The former water and sewer garage is still standing.
Yeah, I noticed that.
If you drive by, you notice it's been gutted. Anything in there of value has been taken out. National Grid turned the power off as we requested, but they never took the power line off of the building, which we were told is a separate crew that does that. So Jackson Demolition is calling. We are calling. We're just waiting for Grid to just remove one wire off of the building, and Jackson is waiting. They're in Rotterdam. They want to relocate right to our site and just take it down. So it's killing me that they're not doing it. But I've been daily phone calls to National Grid to try to push them along. And I said this before, it's amazing that any of us have electricity in our houses. I don't know how they operate. It's crazy. It's such a huge organization, and just to get anything done is just painful. But that's the holdup right now. That's the only thing that's holding that building from being demoed.
And so did you say this before, the gas pump that's there behind it?
We relocated the diesel to the gas. The gas pump and tank is remaining in operation until the new tanks are in service later on this year. So we put temporary power lines overhead from the transfer station over to that, communication wires over to that pedestal. So that is a standalone unit now. It's not receiving anything from that building, so that building can come down, and that fuel island will remain until the contractor finishes the installation. Which, Josh, are you still there?
I was muted. Yes, I'm here.
So, update on the time frame on that for the new fuel pumps.
Well, they haven't given us an updated schedule yet, but the schedule that they had originally provided had them beginning construction at Highway in June. I think the lead times on getting the tanks was a little longer, so they're going to give us an updated schedule to reflect that. But I don't think it was more than a couple weeks. So I would say we should expect them in construction by the end of June at the Highway, putting in that tank.
That's great. So can you just stay on top of that? Because what happens is folks travel at a pretty brisk pace right off the road down over to the gas pump. I watch it a lot. I watched it more last summer than I ever had before in the past, because I sat there and watched what was going on there. If we're going to take down the building and have that extension of parking or whatever, I'm just really concerned, because it's sort of a new world order over there now. It was an area that they really kind of had to themselves for a long time. Then the dog park got more popular. Then the Frisbee park. Then all of these things just got a little bit more unpopular to encroach. But people do travel very quickly as they're going to pump their gas over there. So as soon as we can get that moved out of there, I think that is the safety issue that Paul Sebesta really probably hasn't mentioned in the past. But if you sit over there, that would be your number one concern.
Yes, agreed. I'll stay on them.
Thank you.
So, B, Denise, you mentioned extension of the parking. A while ago, I came up with a demo plan for that site. I'll share that with Ray. If he's still on the call, I don't know, but we can meet and I can show him what seemed to work. Get his input on that as well. I mentioned the River Road Rosendale project.
Yes.
Part of that project, the contractor is looking for a place to get rid of clean fill. That suitable material from that project, millings and other good soil that is excavated out prior to them building. We're going to use that at that site to fill that site in, to level it out, because right now that building that's there really at the old water and sewer garage is at 2 levels. So when that comes down, you're going to see a big change from the upper parking to the driveway in. So we want to try to blend that in using.
Sure, it is a slope, but you could see it.
Slope, yeah. So that would help to clean up the site. So you're not going to end up with this ratty old hillside. It'll be nicely graded. The drawings that we had, we included some trees, some areas of green space as well. And it's also, if you're familiar with the site, there's 2 entrances right there off of River Road, and that's always been an issue as far as safety. So I want to, and I think Ray was in agreement, remove one of those entrances and clean up the main entrance coming in. So people won't be pulling out 2 side-by-side driveways and having issues. I watch it every weekend. People, they all jockey for position. So at least we can channelize the traffic a little bit better there.
Right.
Matt, I'm here. Matt,
Hey, Ray.
Do you have that plan drawn up?
Yeah, I had something. Yeah, because I was trying to figure out the grading on that site back when they set that the grade for the new bathroom up there. So I do have something that I can share with you. If you want to meet over there, I can show you what I have. And any feedback from you would be great.
Yeah, because in doing away with that and coming up with a design and how we're gonna do additional parking, try to put it all together and get that, you know, part of that the driveway coming in. And the parking that we kind of fixed up last year for splash pad and tennis along the road.
Yep.
We should look at that whole scope of area to make it more park friendly, seeing, you know, the commercial part of what we're doing there is going to be gone. So we should
Sure.
come up with a whole plan for the entrance, for additional parking, for renewed parking along the side.
I think that was
No.
the plan, right, Matt?
Yeah, we had one plan way back that someone who no longer works here came up with, which when I looked at it, I didn't really agree with. So I made changes to it. I think Ray saw the more recent one, but it was early on. So I can print out the drawing that I have, Ray. And if you want to meet over there, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
And Ray was able to offer his roller so that as the material comes in, we can roll it so that it's compacted well. Because we're not going to be taking, you know, unsuitable material. We want stuff that can compact well to make a good base for either a hillside or parking, whatever what ends up going there. But I think that taking that building down and grading that out nicely is going to really improve the entrance into the park, and even take away some of the old trees that have really overgrown and have been destroyed over the years by salt and everything, and just clean it up and make it look nicer. And then it will look like a park. It won't look like an industrial site with a park around it.
Great.
And then C, Denise, the transfer station open house. Do you want to still do this now, or do you want to wait until this is? I was thinking maybe more so when this is all done, it'd be a nice, like a reopening.
I think that's a great idea.
Okay. Because I think once you take that building down and you change the entrance in, the transfer station will be much more prominent, and you'll be able to see it. And people, I think, will
Right.
probably have more people using it.
Yeah, exactly. It is still not entirely a park. There are other things that go on over there. So, and then whatever plan you have, going back to the last item, you are going to integrate landscaping and planting into that. So it's not just going to be a parking lot, right?
No, it was going to be a green space, and some that helps too with some of the grading too. But you can maintain a parking lot, but then have a graded hillside.
Right, exactly.
But still mowable. I don't want to do something that's, you know, really steep, and that's why I want to involve Ray. I think together, I think it's our responsibility as the water and sewer, because we were there so long. We're pulling out, and we want to leave a nice place behind. But Ray ultimately ends up having the maintenance of it. So I don't want to have it become. I don't want to do something that Ray doesn't want.
All right. Okay.
So before we adjourn really quickly, I just wanted to reflect it in the minutes because I know, Matt, you had sent this agenda out, so we didn't have it reflected as a bullet point. But if we could just put in, reflect in the minutes that we will be doing the mitigation plan, we'll be moving forward with scheduling a input session. That's all.
I see the chief is on the line. Chief, do you have something for the Public Works Committee? Okay.
I'm here. I don't have anything. Just Matt and I had discussed the signage for the bike path, and that'll be moved back down to Lions Park.
Okay.
We coordinate with
Great
them.
point. So let's talk about the signs, because I'm being inundated by people who are saying, I've heard for 2 weeks in a row now from the Dean Street people saying that somebody is doing a basketball clinic at the Dean Street Park. So it's not even a park member, which, you know, we won't even get into that. But there's some sort of basketball clinic going on over there. So there needs to be some sort of signage over there. And then obviously over at the bike trail, which was talked about yesterday during the Highway Committee and Parks.
Right. So we were going to move the sign that's currently out in front of Town Hall from the Arbor Day back down to Lions Park. It was my understanding Charlie Bergami was going to do some either plywood over the basketball rims or the removal of rims in the parks and that kind of thing. I don't know where that stands.
It has not happened, so I don't know where it stands. But I do think that perhaps we need to move the signs around even more. I don't even know, because people are, so there's two different groups of people, right? There's people who are desperate to get outside, and then there are people asking what's going on. I heard again yesterday about also the playgrounds, that there's no signage at the playgrounds, or there was signage and it was taken away. So people didn't know. They were just legitimately asked. They weren't complaining. They were just asking if they could bring their kids to the playgrounds. So I don't know if we need to be moving the signs more often, or we need to communicate this a little bit better.
Absolutely. I mean, we can move those signs to different parks. Matt and I work closely with, where they are, and moving them together and getting them programmed in the right spot. So I'll work with Matt on that.
Thank you. Okay,
You're
Matt, do you have anything else?
Just one thing, Kathy is joining us by phone. So
Yeah,
she's
it's very
doing the minutes.
difficult for Kathy and anybody else to take the minutes because people are not online visually. And then people are calling in from all different kind of numbers, so your address is not appearing. I did the attendance last month for Kathy because I could figure out who is on here. That's why I was looking, and I saw that the chief was here. There's 4 or 5 people who just have telephone numbers and no name. So Kathy, I don't know. We can take, Matt, you want to take like an old-fashioned attendance? I mean, this is a very popular meeting, so.
Yeah, if everybody can just give me their name that's on, I can.
So I'll go through. So Chief is the first person I have there. Then I have Matt.
Mm-hmm.
I have Brian Backus.
Okay.
I have somebody, a lovely woman named Elizabeth, but I believe that's Josh. Janet is on this call. Laura Roberts is on this call. Councilwoman Jakewith is on. Paul Briggs is on. Ray Smith is on. Stan is on. Yasmin is on. And then I have assorted telephone numbers here with no name associated with it. One is Alexis, obviously. Who else is on?
Paul Sebesta.
Diana's on. Michelle Martinelli.
Paul Sebesta.
Yep, we got it. Okay. Anyone else?
Was Michelle Martinelli on?
She was on. She's got off.
Okay.
Anyone else?
I'm on, but I don't count.
Okay, the number of people on the call and the number of names we just rattled off do not match up, but we tried. So
I'm on my video on my audio is really bad on my computer, so I'm on video and phone. So that's why you see an extra phone number there.
got it. See, there we go. Thank you, Paul. Thank you very much.
Denise, one other thing Josh texted me. I failed to put the turf management plan on the agenda. Is there an update on that?
So we did want to move forward with the turf management plan. This is something that we talked about last year. And I have been eager to move forward with that. Matt, Josh, do you want to talk about it for a sec?
Yeah, I'm just, so we had the public hearing last year for that plan, and received some, public comments. There isn't anything that we received that I think would, change anything significant with the plan, but I am making just some small, finishing touches onto it. Once I complete that, I will distribute to everybody, and then it's just a matter of it was left after the public hearing with, just pending a board action to actually implement. So I'll distribute it with everybody, and and we can make a decision whether or not that goes on the next agenda for the town board meeting.
I would like for it to.
Okay. So I'll get that to everybody as soon as possible, to review with as much time before the meeting.
That's great. So will that need to go on finance? You'll talk about an agenda, Matt, right?
Yes.
Great.
Yeah, basically, just for a little history, since it's been a little while, what happened was, so we complete an annual report for our MS4 permit. It's municipal separate storm sewer system. It's a permit that manages water quality and stormwater. And in that annual report, there is a checkbox that asks if we have a turf management plan. Last year, during the draft review period for the MS4 annual report, a resident provided a comment asking if the town had any interest in completing one, because we didn't have one, so we would check no to that box. There was an interest, so I compiled some information from various sources for the best management practices on how to manage turf fields with the intent of minimizing to the maximum extent practicable the use of pesticides and fertilizers. So I compiled that information and put it into a document for us to follow as a turf management plan to that goal of minimizing pesticide and fertilizer use.
Great. You've done an excellent job. So thank you very much, Josh.
Yes, thank you.
All right. It's really loud again. So I'm hearing no other business. I'm making a motion to adjourn. A second.
Second.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
To be continued. Bye now.
Thank you.